Hello, everyone.
Hello, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir, and good afternoon to everyone. And welcome back to the day three of our ocean literacy course, the Ocean Literacy Know Your Planet Beyond Land. Over the past 2 days, we have explored the fascinating world of ocean through two insightful sessions. This Ocean in Simple Terms, where we unravel the basics of ocean literacy, and Living with the Ocean, which highlighted our deep and interconnected relationship with the marine world. Today, as we take this journey forward with the topic, the strategic importance of ocean. Ocean is just a source of life, but it is also a key driver of global geopolitical trade, security, and environmental sustainability. It influences extends far beyond its waters, shaping economies, international relations, and the climatic patterns as well. So once again, we are honored to have with us Dr. Ram Boojh, whose expertise in environmental policy and ocean governance will provide us a deeper understanding of this crucial subject. And I encourage all the participants and I request them to ask questions and make this learning an interactive and active session. And let's have a great learning experience. So, without further ado, I request Ram sir to begin his session.
Thank you, Sneha, and good afternoon, everyone. Yes, this is my second lecture, and let me just share the screen straight away. There is some. Can you see uh, this PowerPoint?
Yes, sir. The PowerPoint can be seen if you just make it full screen.
Yes, that is what I am trying to. Mhm. Yes, full screen.
Yes,
And
sir. Good to go.
good. Strategic importance of ocean, very important but complicated topic. Uh, Governing our oceans, a delicate balancing act, meeting our needs sustainably and for the benefit of all today and in the future. So this is how this ocean strategic importance is. So I will begin with, of course, you all must be knowing, but just want to reiterate that oceans are strategically vital for life and global affairs, serving as major transportation routes for 90% of global trade, a massive source of food, a regulator of climate and oxygen, a key player in economic growth, and a critical military geopolitical arena for power projection and security. They connect continents, drive economies, provide natural buffers against disasters, and host vast biodiversity, making their health essential for human survival and stability. UN has designated the period from 21 to 2030 as the decade of ocean science for sustainable development. That is also shows how oceans are important. The goal is to build a support structure for preservation, integrating science and policy. This highlights the immense importance of the ocean. So, This is again about the importance of oceans. USGS Geological Survey estimates that the total volume of water on Earth is about 1.386 billion cubic kilometers, and that about 96.5 point of this water is in the oceans, almost 97%, and fresh water is just 3%, which is mostly 70% glaciers, and drinkable water, river, lakes is just less than 1%, and underground is 29%. So water is so scarce. Of course, most of the water is in the oceans, and they cover 70% of our surface and are the lifeblood of our planet. That is why Earth is called as a watery planet or blue planet. They play a pivotal role in regulating climate, supporting biodiversity, and sustaining vital ecosystems. Pollution, overfishing, habitat destruction, and climate change pose significant threats to ocean health and biodiversity. What is the Earth's biggest carbon sink? No, it's not forest or peatland, it's ocean that covers 71% of our planet's 3 billion people depend on its ecosystem for food and economic security. It also mitigates climate change, having absorbed 93% of the heat trapped by greenhouse gases and about 30% of CO2 emitted by burning fossil fuels so far. So majority of the greenhouse gases have, and the heat has been trapped by ocean. In return, humankind has polluted the oceans with oil, sewage, and plastic. We have plundered our waters, harvesting fish stocks to depletion, tearing up the seabed with trawl nets, and mining deep sea mineral deposits. Noisy and polluting vessels plow across waters and sometimes into marine creatures. UN oceans. Uh, in fact, its potential. That is why United Nations has so many programs on the oceans, and together all these programs are clubbed as UN Oceans. And UN system works for cooperation and coordination on ocean matters through the UN Oceans. OBIS, Ocean Biogeographic Information System of the IOC. These all are part of the UN Oceans. Then UNESCO, the IOC is part of UNESCO, and UNESCO's designated sites, biosphere reserves, and World Heritage Sites and geoparks in coastal and marine areas are repositories of biodiversity conservation and sustainable development of the area. These form a huge network all along the world in the oceans. Oceans' strategic role in climate crisis. So, climate change in the changing oceans, ocean warming, sea level rise, ocean acidification. So, these are the uh, three main impacts. Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, it's the sixth assessment report, AR6, gives final warning about the climate crisis. That report was published in 2023. Temperature to surpass 1.5 degrees Celsius before 2030, threshold beyond which irreversible alteration in Earth systems, extreme climate disasters beyond capacity to adapt, heat waves, famines, and infectious disease, claiming millions of lives by century's end. So, this is a very critical moment in history. We need an acceleration agenda, speed up climate action. climate action. IPCC report says decades of delay have denied the world any hope of an easy and gradual transition to a more sustainable world. And now only deep, rapid, and immediate efforts across all aspects of society, combined with still unproven technologies to pull carbon from the atmosphere, will be able to stave off this catastrophe. Driving blue agenda. So that is another blue economy, blue jobs, blue agenda. All these are related to oceans have become the buzzword now. Blue economy initiatives leveraging blue economy include renewable energy generation from ocean resources, supporting sustainable fisheries, developing marine biotechnology, and fostering ecotourism. These are some of the areas where blue economies are doing very good. Then maritime security collaboration, information sharing, leveraging technology for maritime domain awareness, promoting joint naval exercises and patrols, and fostering cooperation in maritime threats such as piracy, illegal fishing, and smuggling. Climate change resilience. IOR is highly vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, including rising sea levels, extreme weather events, and ocean acidification. Innovative strategies around climate resilient infrastructure, early warning systems, sustainable coastal management practices, regional cooperation for climate change, adaptation and mitigation. So these are some of the elements of Blue Agenda. And actually, this 2023 historic UN Treaty on Oceans, and that was uh, taken at the fifth Intergovernmental Conference on Marine Biodiversity Beyond Areas of National Jurisdiction at the United Nations in New York. After days of grueling round the clock talks, UN member states finally agreed on a treaty to protect the high seas. Actually, this was being negotiated for decades. And now we have a crucial legal framework for enforcing 30 into 30 pledge. This is a pledge, uh, basically biodiversity pledge taken under the Kunming-Montreal Protocol, where 30% of the oceans and land has to be protected through legal measures by 2030. So this legal framework is very crucial for establishing marine protected areas for two-thirds of the ocean that lies outside national boundaries. And there are some of the initiatives and partnerships which are of very strategic importance. The most important, this one, Global Coral Reef Monitoring Network, GCRMN, and the Global Interagency Initiative under the stewardship of the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO, UNEP, IUCN, and World Bank, among others. This is multi-agency initiative, and this is part of the International Coral Reef Initiative. Critical information to managers, policymakers, donors, and communities to raise awareness of coral reef issues amongst all stakeholders. Enables the decision-making process that feeds into international policy and donor funding to be grounded in local level needs. Works to improve management and conservation of coral reefs by providing manuals, equipment, databases, training, problem solving, and helps with finding funds for reef monitoring. Works through 17 regional networks of states and countries called nodes. Example, the South Asian node include India, Bangladesh, Maldives, Pakistan, Sri Lanka. And these are some of the nodes which is spread across the region. and you can just see Indian Ocean, and particularly India is at the epicenter. So is the Australia and many of the countries. Conclusion from the activities and influence of the this global coral reef monitoring network, and particularly in context of South Asia, and coral reef ecosystems are increasing pressure due to, among others, environmental stress, unsustainable fisheries, coral mining, climate change, related coral bleaching, etc. For long-term successful management of the reefs, equitable distribution of benefits among all of the stakeholders, including the poorest in the region, need to be ensured. This resource management will affect the way people interact with the reef's resources and actively participate in sustaining them. A holistic development oriented approach with poverty reduction focus is needed. Geostrategic significance of the ocean. Some facts. Two-thirds of world population lives within 100 miles from the coast. 150 out of 190 member states of the United Nations are coastal. 80% of cities and most major trade financial centers are on coast. Shipping still remains the cheapest form of transportation of cargo. Global maritime trade accounts for 80% of the world trade by volume and 70% by value. More than 52,000 ships estimated at $450 billion ply the ocean routes and generate nearly 14 million jobs. The total trade across the oceans, considering imports and exports, are estimated at $25,000 billion. Apart from transportation, the oceans are also a major source of food, fishing, metals, minerals, and energy resources. Importance of sea power, a dominant feature of history. And this is a very interesting book written in the 17th century by A.T. Mahan. And whoever rules the waves will rule the world. And that is why global economic growth has always been linked to seaborne trade as a vital component of world trade through ages, since it has been the cheapest mode of transport for conveying large volumes of cargo over long distances. In the modern era, bulk of energy needs of nations, such as oil and LNGs, has always been transported through sea. Seafaring nations have always prospered both from point of view of power and wealth because of trade and commerce. India has always been a seafaring nation, and its wealth in the ancient times was due to its trade across the oceans. Why is Indian Ocean strategically important? I think there was some global glimpses of global overview, and then focusing on India and Indian Ocean region. So Indian Ocean is the third largest ocean in the world, bound by Iran, Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh in the north, Malay Peninsula, Sunda Islands in Australia in the east, Southern Ocean in south, and Africa and the Arabian Peninsula to the west. And this Indian Ocean region is home to approximately 2.7 billion people, forming a dynamic and diverse geopolitical landscape. Stability in the Indian Ocean is paramount to the global economy, influencing trade resources and strategic interests worldwide. Economic importance of Indian Ocean. Fishing industry. The region accounts for over 20% of global fish production. Tourism and hospitality. Popular tourist destinations attracting millions of visitors annually. In fact, countries like Maldives, their economy 100% is dependent on tourism. Same is many other countries. Energy, over 40% of the world's offshore oil production takes place in the Indian Ocean basin. Trade and transportation account for over 20% of global trade. In 2022, the value of trade through the Indian Ocean was estimated at over $6 trillion. Marine transportation and ports. Major ports along the Indian Ocean facilitate shipping and logistics activities, contributing significantly to regional economies. Geopolitical importance of Indian Ocean. These are some of the choke points. Is home to several important choke points, such as Strait of Hormuz, Strait of Malacca, and the Suez Canal. You can just see almost 7 choke points. If they are stopped, lot of trade, global trade will be impacted. Sea lanes of communication. Indian Ocean is a major sea lane of communication lock for global trade, vital for global economic stability. Power projection. Indian Ocean is a key arena for power projection by major powers such as the United States, China, and India. And then these are some of the environmental factors. Climate change absorbs about 20% of the heat trapped by greenhouse gases, provides rainfall to over 2 billion people. Marine biodiversity, 30% of the world coral reef cover, 25% of world's mangrove forests, 10% of world's seagrass beds, over 2,000 fish species, coastal protection such as mangroves and coral reefs provide protection from storms and flooding. Food security, major sources of food for millions of people. Fish stocks provide a vital source of protein and income for coastal communities. India and the ocean. India is a maritime nation with a coastline for over 7,500 kilometers, with 9 states and 4 union territories along the coast. It has 1,208 island territories, and these islands are mostly Andaman and Nicobar and Lakshadweep, and an exclusive economic zone of 2.2 million square meter. India has also been allotted by the International Seabed Authority an area of 1.5 lakh square kilometer in the Indian Ocean region for exploitation of seabed resources. India also has established interest in Antarctica. In fact, uh, we have our base there. Research vessel is stationed in Antarctica. And these are some of the Indian presence in the entire Indian Ocean region in various countries. We have collaboration, we have cooperation agreements, and India's maritime power. Indian mariners had regular voyages to ports in the Red Sea, Mediterranean, Southeast Asia for trade and commerce. Indian culture and knowledge was also carried across the oceans, example Sri Lanka and Southeast Asian nations. Ancient Indian kingdoms such as the Mauryas, Pallavas, Satavahan, Srivijayas, and Cholas had powerful navies. Kautilya, in his Arthashastra, amplifies the duties of chief controller of shipping and ports, implying the importance of maritime trade during the Mauryan era. Evidence suggests that ancient civilizations such as Indus Valley made extensive use of naval power. National Maritime Day on 5th April celebrates the pivotal role of maritime professionals in bolstering the nation's trade and economy, symbolizing India's emergence as a significant maritime player. India's importance in the Indian Ocean. India is the geographical center of the Indian Ocean. Over 7,500 kilometers of coastline we have. This I already described. 95% of India's trade by volume and 60% by value flows through Indian Ocean. 80% of India's crude oil imports, 3.28 million barrels per day, imported by sea via Indian Ocean. 93% of India's oil needs met by sea, including offshore production and exports. India, fourth largest LNG importer with 45% coming by sea, and around fishing and aquaculture, 4.1 million tons of fish captured in 2008, employing 14 million people. A lot of people get resources, jobs, and livelihood from the oceans. Fisheries exports rupees 1600 crores, about 2.5 billion. Mineral resource extraction, exploration rights in the central Indian Ocean, significant potential in manganese, cobalt, nickel, and copper. India's pivotal role shaping the strategic future. India's central geographic location and extensive coastline solidify its significance in the region. India hosts the Indian Ocean Rim Association, IORA, country's Blue Economy Cooperation Initiative, launched the Sagar Mala project, and this project is very, very ambitious to develop port-led industrialization along India's coastline, launched the resilient infrastructure for small island developing states as parts of its climate ambition program, Panchamrit, establishing connectivity with the Association of East Asian Nations, ASEAN, multimodal connectivity to the Gulf and Central Asia, and Bay of Bengal, initiative for multi-sectoral technical and economic cooperation, BIMSTEC. Sagar Mala project, launched in 2015, aims to modernize over 400 ports and coastal assets, reduce logistic costs, and connect industrial zones with sea routes. Spice route, this is another very important initiative. India's initiative along the Spice route, the ancient maritime Silk Road, to build a transcontinental network from maritime cooperation for maritime cooperation, conceived on the basis of ancient maritime global trade network, which was mainly transporting biodiversity related merchandise such as cinnamon, paper, ginger, cloves, nutmeg, textiles, woodwork, precious stones, metalwork, incense, timber, saffron, etc. Strategic challenges in preparedness. In fact, this is how China is trying to surround the Indian Ocean region, and that's called as Ring of Fire. China's Harmonious Ocean Project, Akka, the String of Pearls, a base proper in Gwadar in Pakistan, and presence in Malé, that's Maldives, Gal, that is Sri Lanka, Coco Island, Myanmar, Kuyufuku, Chittagong in Bangladesh, instability in Afghanistan and Iraqistan. These are very, very strategic. Piracy in the Horn of Africa and the Straits of Malacca. These are some of the challenges where India's that strategic preparedness is required. And this is how Indian Navy has accepted the challenge. After independence, Indian Navy pushed for a two-carrier fleet as naval prowess was increasingly in the air, not the sea. 4th March to 61 to 31st January 1997, that was basically the superiority in air and land. Navy was not that given that important, but 12th May 1987 to 6 March, the next phase started. And in between these, INS Vikrant and INS Vishal, these two were. But after 2013, uh, these are some of the visions that India has, like mission-based deployment along the Indian Ocean and the strategic vision and doctrine. So India's maritime policy repositions India as a maritime power, not only through defense or trade, but by invoking cultural memory, regional responsibility, and strategic assertiveness. Sagar 2015, that was launched, security and growth for all in the region, guiding principle for regional maritime policy, evolve into that's now a Mahasagar in 2024 under Navy doctrine, mutual and holistic advancement for security and growth among regions. So this is very very important. January 17 this year, indigenous naval assets INS Surat destroyer, INS Nilgiri stealth frigate, and INS Bagshir Scorpion class submarine. These three naval assets have been commissioned. Very important development. Then development of Lothal Maritime Heritage Complex in Gujarat, reviving India's ancient port legacy from the Harappan era. Shipbuilding projects revived at Cochin Shipyard Limited and Mazgaon Dock Shipbuilders under the Make in India initiative. Nowadays, in fact, this uh, the what we call as SCI, uh, these are basically the lone wolf actors. They are called as super intelligent, super empowered individuals, and they can be called as lone wolf. There have been both rogue elements as well as others because they have the super intelligence, opportunity for leveraging complex systems, societal disconnect leading up to detonation, alienation. So this whole strategic warfare is becoming very, very big because of the new technologies, AI and SCI. This is becoming very, very significant. And the super empowerment of an SCI, strategists like John Robb, Thomas P. These are all ocean or war strategists. They have identified a few opportunities in the current state of the world that an ACI can exploit. Network mobilizer power, increasing power of personalized weapons and technology, weaknesses of the global supply chain. So they exploit this and war against SCIs. And this is what this famous book by Fred Charles Clay, Annihilation from Within. So these are some of the quotes by famous those who have led war against these super empowered individuals or lone wolves. Eventually, the application of our military power will mirror the dominant threat to a significant degree as we morph into a military of super empowered individuals fighting wars against super empowered individuals. Over time, perhaps as little as in 20 years, and as the leverage provided by technology increases, this threshold will finally reach its culmination with the ability of one man to declare war on the world and win. Just see this statement: one man can declare the war and also win. Means the AI and the technologies that are now John Robb, Brave New War. And this is first, very few people would be needed to carry out the attack. A single individual could spread a nationwide pandemic using a highly contagious virus. A two-person team would be sufficient to deploy and detonate a couple of nuclear weapons. So this is where this annihilation from within the Fred Charles Eclay's book. So these are very, very complicated trends and very dangerous as well. Countries are gearing to face such kind of eventuality. Naval battles today. SEAL Team X, that is the US, the raid on Osama bin Laden. And based on the story, this is a, you can just see that film. India's Sea Lions News Navy's Marine Commandos get leaner and meaner. These are some of Indian also like this. Operation Sindoor Navy was mobilized swiftly in order to deter any kind of aggression by the Pakistani forces. That was also just like naval commands were battle ready, and particularly such kind of sea lions are the SEIs. Small is beautiful. The emergence of ACI stands in stark contrast to the idea of massive armed forces and humongous war machines. Agility and flexibility is the need of the hour, as the 2008 Mumbai attacks and the surgical strike of 2016 show it. Means this Mumbai attack was also carried out by three individuals, and that too everyone worked as a lone wolf. Lessons from the INS Vikrant in 71. It ran a real risk of being taken out by the PNS Ghazi, a submarine on a suicidal mission should be. Is Indian navigation so far fitted out for coastal and anti-ship, anti-harbor warfare, prepared for drone SEAL operations, or will the aircraft carrier be a sitting duck? Lessons from Rajendra Chola, one of the great kings, and basically he built a maritime empire across the Kalinga Sea, uh, and he took control only of the major trading ports in Burma, Siam, and the Malay archipelago, and did not bother with invading the hinterland. He established a second capital of Nakkawaram, Nicobar, from where he could control the sea routes. He not only built up an armed navy but also a merchant marine that ensured the revenues came to him rather than anyone else. So this was Rajendra Chola, Rajaraja. Lessons from Alfonso de Albuquerque. He was the Portuguese, the naval commander. He invested in coastal empire rather than a territorial one. Cosmic resonance. The Battle of Dew had established Portuguese supremacy over the Arabian Sea. Albuquerque built on that. His command of Dew and Daman shoveled the space for the Mughal navy. Its admiral saw it better to build his own state, Janjira, than take on the Portuguese. Portuguese mastery of deep draft vessels restricted traditional Indian shallow draft fighting boats like gull baths to the coastline. Sadly, the Portuguese failed to build up on this vision and lost their empire to the Dutch and the English on the east coast and the Marathas in the Konkan. Great Shivaji, Chhatrapati Shivaji, in fact, he is called as father of Indian Navy. Shivaji Raje Bhosle was an SCI long before the term was invented. He was super empowered in that way. He understood the power of an agile, adaptive navy. He learned his lessons from the Siddhis of Janjira that a marine bolt hole was not be scoffed at. The ensuing chain of maritime forts ensured that the Portuguese in Goa or the Dutch ascendant in Malabar could not establish a supremacy over the Konkan coast. Were he alive today, surely he would have invested in both super carriers as well as war. But his biggest lesson invest in people. So India has this 3 point agenda. We need a dedicated naval capital. We must master all kinds of ships from super carriers to one-man units. We need a string of bases across the Indian Ocean, not just within our territorial waters. So these 3 point agenda and Jalmev yes Balmev Tasya. So that is the logo of INS Virat, which was basically abandoned on 6 March 2017. And the greatest wonder of the sea is that it's still alive, Greenpeace. And this is going to be my last slide because thank you so much. You are most welcome. Now this is open to discussion and
Thank you so much, sir, for such detailed presentation. Participants, if you all have any questions, you all can directly unmute yourself or you all can just raise your hand so I'll address you all.
yes, please, if you have any questions.
Or maybe you can post it in the chat as well.
Yeah, no, there are some in
Oh,
the
there are,
questions
yeah, there is.
in the chat box.
Can you just brief on GCRMN? And the further is also written, is it a project or a spot just identified?
No, this is a kind of global this coral reef monitoring network, and all over the world, where are the coral reefs? Through this global initiative, they are monitored. Basically, through the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission, there are several research vessels which monitor and feed into the global platform for the use of policymakers, researchers. So this is a kind of network. So, uh, and as you could have seen on the map, there were around, I think, 15, 16 places, spots all over the globe where there are these coral reefs. And mainly you can just see the coral triangle in the Indian Ocean and Pacifics. That triangle is one of the richest where this monitoring is concentrated. So this is a mammoth. Around 200 institutions are involved, including the governments, into this initiative. So it's a huge project. And then I think next question is uh, what is that?
The current status of Sagarmala project is what they are asking.
Sagarmala project. It's this is basically they have identified the ports developing, and particularly currently some of the shipyards they have been revitalized, and they are uh, manufacturing indigenous naval assets under the Make in India initiative. And over the next 5 years, under this Sagarmala project, there will be connectivity, there will be this manufacturing, there will be this capacity building. All these efforts are ongoing, and it's a very, very Ministry of Shipping is involved into it, and very ambitious project all along the Indian coast. So it's ongoing. Current status is ongoing, and I don't recall, but you can just search it. Huge investment government has made into this project, and what is next is. Thank you very much for this information lecture. With your kind permission, I would like to ask to explain more about the strategy of Portuguese with regards to our seas and what we can learn from them regarding governance of oceans. Actually, Portuguese under the Albuquerque, he was one of the most successful commanders, and they dominated the oceans. In fact, they challenged the Mughal Empire through the Daman and Diu later. Of course, they established their this rule in Goa, Daman and Diu. But after the death of, actually, they forced the Mughals at that time. Mughals retreated and they started developing the Zanzibar port, which is again attacked by Albuquerque. And till he was alive, both British and all others, navies, French, British, they all other European navies were so scared with him. So his strategy was simple. He was basically, one can call him as a super empowered individual. Sometimes, if you have great leadership, of course, they have same kind of resources, but it was because of him, Albuquerque. That's why he is considered as one of the those lone wolves like Shivaji and others. This Rajaram Chola, Rajendra Chola. So uh, it you can call the strategy. Lot of books have been written and how he commanded the oceans, particularly the Indian Ocean region, because at that time India was considered to be the like nowadays everybody wants to go to Europe and US. Those days they wanted to come to India to get a lot of to becoming rich, particularly this spice route which I explained. It was basically uh, those days all the spices were considered to be the gold, and Indian traders used to exchange gold in place of spices. That was the trade at that time. And there's a very interesting stories when Columbus reached America, and he found the red chilies there growing, and that he considered as one of the spices. Like he reached India, He brought it, but finally it was considered that no, but these chilies were introduced and silently came to India as well. And that was the time when this trade of balance started favoring Europeans, because earlier this spices were exchanged with the gold. Now they started exchanging with the spices, exchanging with the chilies and the red chilies and other things. So that gradually shifted the trade balance. So Portuguese, particularly their power started downhill. They could hold only to the Goa, Daman and Diu. And there was a treaty with the British and the French. French were confined to Pondicherry. They were these Portuguese to Goa, Daman and Diu. And Britishers, the whole India was left to them. So that's a very interesting story. So next question is, who the ring of fire effect on India? What is the ring of fire effect on India? China's harmonious project, is it threat to India? Can you please explain more? Ring of fire is basically it's a global strategist. They have named it. China has chosen a very good name harmonious project, that is to help in the name of development. China's this uh, um, this road, what they call as Silk Road Initiative, and BRI, Belt and Road Initiative, and both in the oceans and land. Like they have come up to Gwadar in Pakistan, and that is the source to enter into Indian Ocean. They have also done a this uh, treaty with Myanmar for the Coco Island. They have a base in Malaysia, bases in Sri Lanka, the Gal port near Colombo, and then Mole in Maldives. Similarly, they are in many other Indian Ocean region countries. They have reached out, they have bases. So that way they are trying to, their effort, what countries see in the strategic term, is to create choke points all along the Indian Ocean region. And in the eventuality of any conflict, stop those choke points and impact the war outcome. So that is what China is trying, and basically it's a circling India uh, from all the corners, from the uh, north, south, east, and west. So that is why strategically it's very important. In fact, there is a very nice book, Global Warring, not Warming, Warring, by a British lady, and she talks about the choke points where US has created the choke points all over the world. For the America and the Panama Canal, basically all the South American countries, China has agreements with Canada. They have agreements. So for that matter, they have surrounded US also from all over. And with the Belt and Road Initiative, they have reached out to Europe, and with their supremacy in the rare minerals, which are very much needed for the renewable energy and the transportation in every aspect. So they are trying to create this what is called as a ring of fire everywhere. So that's a very dangerous in terms of uh, strategic warfare or ocean strategy. So India is not alone. Many countries are concerned with Chinese these designs. So I think this is all. Any other question?
So one that they have asked whether you can share the reference list or the books which you have mentioned.
Sure, sure. I will. I will.
And we have Vanita who has raised her hand. Maybe she can unmute herself and go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. I'm Anita from National Maritime Foundation. So my question is actually not related to exactly not related to your presentation, but I thought I might not get another chance to ask. If it's okay, I'll go ahead with the question. Um, it's like when we talk about climate change, we are trying to find new sources of energy, and that's how lots of countries are shifting to ocean as a focus area for that. But when we look into it, a lot of them are not looking at the sustainable factor of uh, it. So eventually, I feel like it will end up being what happened on the land resources as well. Very few countries, especially the small island countries, are the one who insist on ocean use, but a sustainable use. So, what's all your opinion on that, or your look into it? Like, just because a lot of focus has been shifted to blue economy, but the sustainable word about the blue economy gets somewhere missed in it.
Yeah, in fact, blue was always neglected. So, past few years, it's all over the blue economy, blue jobs, blue education also nowadays. So, and why not? Oceans, they are key to climate change, amelioration, both in terms of adaptation and mitigation. So I think that shift or the focus oceans deserve, but naturally still it's the land where the focus continues, like forests. They are the nutrients, biodiversity, uh, the fresh water. In fact, with retreat of the glaciers all over the world, that is, it's going to end uh, climate change. We already have those dark zones in the world. So my opinion as is that sustainability, it's like we call it planetary sustainability, planet as a whole. And when we talk about it, we cannot uh, like do one at the cost of others. It has to be the whole planet approach, our whole ecosystem, our whole landscape. Nowadays, it's a seascape, like mapping the oceanic resources, the same approach as was in the landscape approach that is going on. So I think I wish to launch a program sometime from the mountain to oceans, from Himalayas to Sagar, Him Sagar, like we have, where the strategy is a joint one. And uh, means it should be not on the conflict competition, but cooperation and collaboration. That is my opinion. So, Vanita, I am impressed by your questions and your perspective on those things. So, so
Thank you, sir. It's all.
what are you doing currently?
Sir, I'm a
Where you are?
research intern at National Maritime Foundation. So Kamlesh Agnihotri sir is the one who asked us, who told us
Oh,
about the course and asked us to join.
good, very good. So, what is your topic of research?
So here I'm looking at climate change and currently working on a project on port resilience.
Okay, very
So
good.
that's so I've been always interested in the
No, no, very.
sustainability and climate
I
change.
think
And I look
very.
forward to your project that you just mentioned, sir.
Okay. Which project? Acha,
You
this
just
one.
mentioned that in future if you start
No,
one.
it,
So yeah,
it just came to my mind, something I want to pursue on that scale. So I
it's
need
a
people.
great idea. So there are a lot of people like me who would really appreciate that. So maybe
Yeah,
you should, sir.
yeah, please do join me in pursuing such kind of ideas and how these could be. We will find out the way to make these happen.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Welcome. Any other person? If there is someone, otherwise, Sneha, the great.
Any
Ah,
anybody else who would like to ask any questions? Oh, yeah. So we can wind up for the day.
okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for such intense topic discussion, and thank you to all the participants who are here. Tomorrow we have a session on concepts of sustainability, which will be taken up by Ram sir again, and the link for the sessions will be shared with you all tomorrow itself. Thank you everyone for joining.